guys, welcome back to the park. I'm Hira.
And I'm Madison, and on today's episode we'll be covering all things Memorial.
Everyone plug in your phones because we're charging into this segment about cell phone bans.
What's up, Bulldogs? Connor Shellham here, reporting to you about a new cell phone ban that might come to us soon. Oklahoma lawmakers have been trying to put a ban on cell phone usage in school for a while, but up until now it has been mostly talk. A few restrictions here and there, but for the most part, it has been up to the individual schools and teachers to restrict cell phone usage. Some would celebrate, while others mourn the progress that has been made this week in the Oklahoma legislature. Lawmakers have dedicated hours this week considering a cell phone ban in schools. Many believe that it is closer than ever to being enacted in Oklahoma schools, including Adam Pugh, the Senate Education Committee chairperson, saying he'd prefer to see all public schools have phone-free classrooms, but would allow local districts to decide whether students could access devices during the passing periods and lunchtime. We interviewed people from around our school to get their thoughts on this topic. Let's see what they have to say. Well, just kick it off real quick. Our topic is cell phones.
All right.
And first question is, how much do you use your cell phone each day?
I average, I think, around 3 to 4 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot more than me, actually.
Yeah.
All right. And then did you know that many schools in the Edmond district are fighting for a ban on cell phones during school hours?
I think I might have heard something about that.
Yeah.
I don't know much.
What do you think about it?
I think it would be in the best interest of the students. It might, I mean, it's kind of iffy because it would increase productivity, but it's also kind of infringing on privacy. So.
Yeah. I mean, they're taking your property away.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Well, let's move on. You think removing your cell phones would improve your learning experience?
I definitely think so. I think cell phone addiction is a serious problem. I mean, it is your cell phone, but it is something that, hinders a lot of students' learning abilities. So
yeah, it's just a huge distraction, really.
Yeah.
Well, how would this help your overall life as a student?
I would be if I was going to school without my phone, I think I would become much more efficient with my schoolwork. I think my learning abilities would go through the roof.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I stand there.
Okay. Well, good talking to you, Lucas.
All right. You too.
Hi, I'm Sean, and today I have with me
Jacob.
Okay, Jacob, today our segment is over cell phone bans. So we're gonna dive right into that. So my first question is, how much do you use your phone each day?
Probably around 5 hours.
That's it?
Maybe 6, 7.
Okay, that's all right. Did you know that many schools in the Edmond district are fighting for a ban on cell phones during school hours? Like, how do you feel about that?
I feel like that's actually kind of crazy.
And why do you think that?
I feel like as long as you're doing your schoolwork, you should have the privilege to be on your phone.
That's a fair point. I actually agree with you. Do you think removing your cell phones would improve your learning in school? So like, if you got rid of your phone, do you think you'd be able to learn better here at Memorial?
I actually feel like you shouldn't have a phone if you're not able to put it away and put away the distraction and learn.
So can you like put it away pretty easily,
Yeah,
like
I
without
can
a
put it away.
distraction? Yeah. Okay. How would this help your life overall as a student?
I feel like it would make it slightly easier so you could focus a little better.
Hey, what's up, y'all? My name's Shane. I'm here with
Tracy.
and today we're gonna ask about cell phones. On average, how much do you use your cell phone a day, each day?
Minimum of an hour and a half.
Okay. Did you know that many schools in the Edmond district are fighting to ban them during school hours?
I did not know that. I know Oklahoma City does.
What's your thoughts on that, though? Do you think it would benefit? Do you think it would?
Totally think it would benefit.
All right.
I think test scores would go up. I think learning would go up.
How do you think this would help overall life for students?
Psychologically, I think it would help them a lot. Psychologically, cell phones and social media is hard on kids, whether they know it or not, especially girls.
Hey, have you ever seen someone weld?
No.
Do you want to?
Yes.
Okay, let's go see what fire welding job FFA has been working on.
So my name's Jeremy Schmidt, and I teach mostly ag mechanics, anywhere from intro to ag mechanics 2, and then structures as well.
How long have you been associated with the FFA?
This is my 21st year, and I've been at Edmond for 15 years now.
So I know with the FFA, the use of like multiple different high schools goes into it. What's your different stories with the different high schools besides Memorial?
Well, actually, we don't really notice a difference, other than the fact it takes Memorial longest to get here because they're the farthest away. Really, ever since I've been here, it's been just a one program kind of deal. North students, Santa Fe, Memorial, they're all the same. Even we've had like opposing football players that come to the program at the same time, and it never makes a difference.
Interesting. What's one of your favorite stories involving FFA in general?
Oh, that's kind of a hard question. I would probably say that one of the biggest things that happens over here that I enjoy the most is whenever somebody learns how to do something new. I have a lot of students, especially since I've taken over the shop, that they come in as an intro and they find out that they want it to be a career. So now that's good and bad. The bad part is a lot of times I lose them to Francis Tuttle their second year. But the good news is that I know I've helped somebody find something that they're passionate about. And it might not, excuse me, might not be that. It might just be the fact that they've learned that they can accomplish something, be successful at something.
So with ag in general being an elective, not every student is going to be able to take ag. So I was just wondering, what separates your students from the other students that might be taking a different course or a different elective?
Well, we have a lot of different students. We really don't have a stereotype that this is the only type of student that takes it. I think you have to have a few things. You have to want to work. That's the biggest part. So if you're not willing to come out here and get dirty and get burnt once in a while whenever the sparks hit you, then this wouldn't be a program for you. And then beyond that, it's just commitment to success. So that's one of the things I demand out of students is that whether they're good at it or not, when they leave here, everybody's at an even skill level. So just takes some longer to get there.
Thank you so much for your time and
Yes.
for being able to be interviewed. Hi, please state your name and your association with the FFA.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Lawton. I'm a fourth-year student at the FFA, and I primarily work in the shop.
What initially drew you to the program?
I had this great principal, Mr. Poutler, in 8th grade at Central Middle School. And when we were registering for our freshman year in high school, he said, I was an ag kid. Ag is so much fun. We do farm stuff, we learn how to cut, weld, grind, etc. And it's a great place to learn how to work hard. And right about there, I was hooked. I knew at that point I really liked to work with my hands and I liked to learn things. And I really wanted to be a tradesperson at that point, and I still do.
So with ag being an extracurricular or an elective, obviously certain students aren't going to be able to take ag. I was wondering what separates you from the generic crowd?
Well, you know, I really like to get down and dirty and work hard. If you can't do that, if you're not willing to get some grease under your fingernails and some calluses on your hands, you're probably not going to be a great ag student, and maybe it's not for you. But that's all right. You know, it's really not for everybody. We do have all types of students, but if you're not willing to put in any work, it's not for you. Ag students are hardworking people, and that don't always get the credit they deserve, you know? A lot of people have those sorts of jobs where you do amazing work and it's truly an art, but if all you want to do is be seen, it's not something that you're going to be okay with, because ag a lot of the times doesn't even get put in the yearbooks. Last year was the first year that Memorial actually put ag in their yearbook. Before that, they would use stock pictures.
This leads me to another really great question. If you were asked about joining ag, or a student asked you saying they're interested in joining as an intro class, what would you tell them?
I would tell them it's one of the greatest decisions I ever made was to check that little box that said I wanted to be an ag student. I really genuinely think that joining ag was the best decision I ever made. You can learn so many new things, meet so many wonderful people, and learn about yourself. I learned that I wanted to be a welder.
If you would like to shout out any social medias or Instagrams, do so now to share your art here of Ag.
If you want to check out some of my projects, you can check me out on Instagram at shoptalk4515.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
That was pretty fire, guys.
I agree. You know what else breathes fire?
Dragons. And we're dragging into this next segment about 3D printing.
My name is Jack Dean, and I'm here with Chase Nichols to interview him about 3D printing and his business. So Chase, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jack. How are you doing?
So yeah, I'm just going to ask you some questions. Is that fine by you?
That's great. That's great.
Okay, here's the first one. How does 3D printing actually work?
So 3D printing is a machine that heats up a plastic filament, and whenever it heats it up, it gets melted into a liquid state, and then it lays it. The extruder will go across a printing bed, and it'll lay it down, and it'll cool off, and then it can print on top of itself again and again and again to build something.
Nice, that is very interesting. Here's another question. How could someone use 3D printing in the future?
Well, I know that they're 3D printing houses with concrete. They use, just a liquid concrete, and they're able to use the mechanism that, lays it down. And then also there are scientists that are working on 3D printing things like tissue in skin in order to rebuild cells. Like you could rebuild a kidney with the tissue from it, and all sorts of stuff like that.
Nice. Yeah, third question. What was the coolest thing you've ever 3D printed in your life?
I think the coolest thing that I've 3D printed, I've been doing this for years now, but I think still my favorite thing is it's a replica prop gun, a historical prop gun, and the slide on it works, and you can unload the mag and stuff, and you can do all sorts of stuff. It's really cool. It looks awesome, and it's just such a cool.
Can you shoot it?
It's not functional to shoot,
Okay.
but yeah, they're.
Nice. Okay, what would someone do to get, what should someone do to get into 3D printing?
Well, I think 3D printing, in order to get into it, definitely has to be like a strong want or like a strong hobby that you want to have, because it is expensive. The average printer is anywhere from $500 to $1,000 usually. But I think if someone wanted to actually get into 3D printing, I personally would either save up the money for myself and then buy it. Of course, that is expensive, so you could ask for it as a birthday gift, a present, something like that along the lines. And then, definitely look into a lot of tutorials on how to actually use the printer.
Okay. Yeah. What is something someone shouldn't do when 3D printing?
Well, there's a lot of things that are needed to make the print work. Number one, you have to make sure the bed is clean. Any dust on it might not stick. There's, of course, you don't want to put your hands in the machine or touch the nozzle because it's hot. You can burn yourself. So there's a lot of little safety things that you just have to think about whenever you're running a printer.
Nice. Yeah. So you have a business.
I do. Yes.
Okay. How do you profit from it?
So the machine part of printing is pretty expensive, but the filament itself isn't that expensive. So I 3D design, and then I make all sorts of stuff, and then I sell them on Etsy, so it's e-commerce, and then I ship it out, and yeah.
Good. Yeah. What do you think will be the future for your business?
Well, I'd love this. Is something that I absolutely love. I started this as just a hobby, not a business. So it's something that I would do even if I wasn't getting paid. So I'd love to grow it as much as possible. I plan to put out, a lot of products, a lot of things. I have, people that I'm gonna collaborate with in order to grow the business. So the goal is to just get it as big as I can.
Nice. You heard it here, folks, from Chase Nichols himself. This is Jack Dean, and back to the bark.
Did y'all enjoy that?
Because we sure did.
Stay tuned for the next episode of The Bark.
Bye, guys.